So there's nothing about Ramadan that calls for anybody going on a holiday or on a break. This is the truth of the matter from the faith. Most times, politicians in Nigeria always under the yoke of Islam try to put things that they think are sentimental, that they think Muslims will appreciate, but which are not part of the faith. Unfortunately, in doing so, they do not consider the effect on the non-Muslims, bearing in mind that Nigeria is not an Islamic state. There is the argument that Muslims are more in Nigeria, or someone that says non-Muslims are more. It doesn't matter who is more. Nigeria is not an Islamic state, and Islam does not allow believers to trample upon the right of others, particularly non-Muslims, because whatever you do in the name of Islam to non-Muslims will mirror back on Islam, and that will form their permanent opinion, usually negative, about Islam for a long time, and that the Muslims are still reeling from such effects from years, thousands of years back. So Islam has not directed that we should go on holiday, and truly it is injustice to the non-Muslim students, and it does not make sense. You can't say the Muslim student go on holiday, the non-Muslims continue to go to school. What happened? The Muslim student will lag behind, and then they will become what? You understand? And when you now say a Christian who doesn't believe in your Ramadan, you can't force him to believe in it. Even you who is a Muslim, God has not commanded you to break.
For fear of Ramadan, they have to close down the schools for 5 weeks. This is not only ridiculous, it is retrogressive. It also smacks of a satanic verse in the Boko Haram ideology. Those governors cannot claim in good conscience that they are, practicing Sharia according to the Islamic injunction. For goodness sake, why should anybody think of closing down schools because of Ramadan? In states where educational literacy level is very low, where about 13 million Nigerians are out of school. Nigerian children are out of school in that part of the country, where about 157 Almanjiri schools were abandoned and taken over recently by the federal government. The governors of those states have the guts to close down schools because of Ramadan. Which Islamic literature do these people read? Is it the Holy Quran? Is it Hadith? Is it Asmawi? Is it Fiqh? Is it Lalari? What exactly do they read in Islamic literature? That they are preaching against Islamic injunctions. In Saudi Arabia, where Islam originated, schools are not closed during Ramadan. Schools are not closing during Ramadan in all Arabian countries where Islamic religion originated. So what's your problem here? Okay, closing down schools, what effect would that have on the children who are supposed to prepare for exams? Supposed to prepare for exam, WAEC, JAM, and many other public examinations. If you cannot think of the political, constitutional, and economic implications of your action, then you are not fit to govern a state. This is a breach of the right of the children who are supposed to be in schools and are denied the right to be in schools during Ramadan. It is also a breach of fundamental right of non-Muslims who are subjected to Sharia law. Yesterday, I read in the media that the Sharia police in Kano, Isba, arrested some people because their offense was that they didn't observe fasting. For God's sake, where as Almighty tell anybody to help him enforce the law on mankind, There's no compulsion in Islam. There's no compulsion. If you can arrest people because they didn't observe fasting, why can't you apply the same law on corrupt Muslims among you, among us? The ex-executive secretary of National Health Insurance Scheme was involved in 19 million fraud. Ex-chairman and secretary of National Hajj Commission were involved in 90 billion fraud. Subsidy given for Hajj operations 2024. There are Muslim ritual killers in Ilorin. You have not applied, Sharia law on them. I hope this is not the type of Sharia. I understand some people are trying to introduce into Yoruba land. They should bury that thought. They should bury that thought. Yoruba land is arid to such a satanic verse in Islamic injunction. Yoruba Muslims have been coexisting peacefully with their brothers and sisters in other religions. No discrimination, no intimidation. So if you cannot display good example, if you cannot be a good ambassador of Islam, can you give what you don't have? You cannot. Fellow Nigerians, it is time we call the bluff of some governors who behave as outlaws. They behave like outlaws in this country. Do they want to tell us that they don't know the position of the Constitution on these actions? So if you want Nigeria to remain one, for God's sake, we have to work assiduously towards achieving it. It is not by lip service. It is not by inciting religious crisis.
Make this make sense. Nigeria is a secular state. We are not a theocratic state, right? We are not an Islamic state. But then in one of the states in Nigeria, the Islamic board has declared that all schools must close for the Ramadan fast. Must close for the Ramadan fast. How does that even work? And these are the same people that will say, oh no, Sharia law is meant for only Muslims. Sharia law is not meant for everybody. But every day we see how Sharia law is being enforced on even people who are not Muslims. I can tell you that if the government does not intervene and private schools actually open during the Ramadan fast, there will be a crisis. So much for peace. So much for peace. If you're a Muslim and you're watching this, you don't have to be triggered. You don't have to be defensive. All you have to do is to call out the bullocks that some of your brothers or Muslim brothers and sisters actually support. Because when you talk to some Muslims, they're like, oh no, we don't do that. But then the general representation of the things that we see in the media and the things that we've experienced says otherwise. And it begs the question, so what are the sane Muslims doing? What are they saying? How do they fight against this oppression that comes from some Islamic sects? What are you guys doing exactly? Because I don't understand why I need to shut down my school as a must because of a Ramadan fast. Why? When Christians are fasting, we don't shut down schools. We don't shut down schools. We don't ask people who are not Christians to suffer with us. No, we don't.
Welcome back to Local Journal, my people. Nigeria has not come out. They blast northern governors for closing down the school for 5 weeks because of Ramadan. Even the Muslims and non-Muslims, they don't put mouth inside this matter, and then they talk, say, that one where the northern governors, they do, not be because of Ramadan, and then they do them. Say, now because of their own selfish interest, and then they do all these things so that they do. Then talk, say, for inside north, now there, now education no dey, and now then they complain, say, the south now be the reason why the north no dey educated. Say, the north don't they marginalized by the southerners in terms of education. But the closure of this school where they happen now for inside north, no be the southern governors, they tell the northern and they close them. Well, on top of this matter, matter like this, plenty people don't talk, and some don't talk, say Christians too, they enjoy this whole thing, say why did they concerned about the holidays where the Muslim people declare for their own people. But the thing where they be say, no be only Muslim people, now they attend school for not. Even Christians, then they attend school for day as well. So if they say they won't close school for 5 weeks, it don't make sense at all, because the thing will affect other people where be non-Muslim for the state. And Nigeria no be Islamic state it be, except they get another reason why they do all these things. So on top of this matter like this, and people don't come shook mouth talk and talk plenty things inside this matter. So I go play the video so that I go watch the video. But before we watch the video, if today na be the first time you visit our channel, I beg make you like, make you share, make you subscribe.
No, it feels like in Nigeria, every other day there's one controversy being generated as soon as one ends, and whilst the other is on, another is brewing. Yet we have seen this. Has this happened before, and why do you think this is happening?
Thank you very much. I think there are a number of issues that are worrying Nigerians, very, very more important, but sadly, not much attention is given to public. The whole country is in a big crisis, economically, politically, socially, and instead of trying to address those issues that are affecting the lives of every Nigerians, at least for trying to even survive, some people choose to embark on issues that, as far as I'm concerned, has less value compared to these other very important issues that has affected governance in this country. The controversy around public holidays in Nigeria has always been a very controversial one. A lot of Nigerians have argued and debated over the issues of public holidays, and some people have actually brought in religion into it. First, with regard to the constitutional provision, the federal government has the powers to declare public holidays. In addition to the holidays declared by federal government, under the Public Act, there's also provision for governors to also declare public holidays in their state. So from the constitutional point of view, you will see that both the federal government and the state government have constitutional provision to do that. But what I think has generated controversy is the seeming looking at it from the religious perspective. First, let me say that even though those states that have declared holidays, I do not think that they violated any constitutional provision in the country. However, looking at maybe perhaps the schooling, especially some of the schools that are currently running exams for the students, I do not think that it is wise to declare all-inclusive public holiday. I know that some schools, despite the declaration, they are still, operating without unnecessary, actually trouble, because the children are writing exam, and the government in those states, I think they understood that they need to allow the children to finish their school, their exams. So, for example, even in Kano, my daughter is still going to school, despite the public holiday that have been declared, because she's writing her exam, and the authority did not stop that from happening. But I think where the problem becomes, so intense is this whole religious color that has been brought. For example, the non-Muslim, or rather specifically the Khan, is threatening to take action on that. And some people felt provoked that, okay, we did not declare holiday in Enugu or in, anywhere where there's a majority, predominantly, that are not Muslim. They declare this in where they think that they have predominance. And now you are coming to threaten them, rather than engaging in even dialogue with the government of those affected states. I think that is what provokes some people. But the way out for me is what we have been talking about, which over in the last couple of years, people have kept quiet. We've been talking about sovereign national conference to discuss problems that has to do with our constitution. A lot of people believe that there are so many aspects in our constitution that need to be looked into. This includes also these controversial religious issues. So if you have a genuine sovereign national conference where issues that affect Nigerians can be discussed in a honest and patriotic ways, I believe that is better than this unnecessary trading of war. Mr. Because I don't think this threat is going to change the decision taken by these state governors. Rather, I believe that dialogue can be organized to discuss and then probably get some of these governors to either reschedule or at least reduce or re-amend what they have already declared. I don't think threatening them will work.
Mr. Rafsanjani.
Because they also have people who are supporting them. So the other thing that I think it is also important.
Pardon me, you have raised a very important point when you cite the Public Act, which empowers the state to, put in place public holiday, both at the federal and the state level. But in the case of, the state and even the federal government, don't you think the deployment of that act should not necessarily be on a large scale? In some states of the north where this holiday has been declared, it's over the entire period of the Ramadan, which means that in some cases they're not resuming for the third term until the 7th of April 2025. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, in these states where this public holiday, this holiday has been declared over the Ramadan season, there are pupils and students who are probably not Muslims. Hasn't their fundamental human right been infringed upon?
Well, if you look at the controversy, the debate, if you also, because if we are going to be honest, we should also look at both sides, of the divide. The other side, they have also been complaining that, the number of holidays in Nigeria favors non-Muslim. They have been making those debates, and that is why we say that there's need to have national dialogue, national conversation around all these religious matters. We have more important things in this country than to reduce the whole energy and the whole debate over some of these issues that I consider important as well, but not much, important like, even the survival of this country and the survival of the people of Nigeria. So the only solution to this, I think, is to embark on this consultation, this dialogue that will lead to the national conference to amend the constitution so that people can come. We are operating democracy. If the majority of Nigerians believe that this is how it should be, I think that, rather than maybe perhaps reducing this to personal argument or to just one section, but this one, section, I think let us have a national conversation on this matter, and let's, table both sides, their concern and their, complaints. Some of them, they also feel that, there was a time when, their student cannot even, in fact, they cannot wear even hijab. So they also see this as a gross, human rights violation. But I think invariably what we are looking for how to have a more stable Nigeria where we have freedom of religion, and in carrying out that freedom of religion, you should not also undermine the right of other person who is not following your own religion, both sides, vice versa. I think if we have that spirit, if we have that, genuine understanding on it, we'll be able to resolve this. I believe that it is possible to have negotiation and dialogue with some of these governors rather than, to say that you will threaten them and you take action. You know that it will not work and it will only provoke, more aggressive response to that.
All right.
As we can see now, even those who didn't care about it, they are now coming to say, oh, they want to come and stop us from, our religious, what they call religious holiday.
Even though time, so we can have a more robust conversation. But you made mention of certain, I don't know if this is backed by data or you just said it in passing, that some people feel that public holidays in Nigeria favors Muslims over Christians. And just looking at the public holidays, you'd see there's Christmas, right? And then there's Easter holiday. That's, you can say, for Christians. And then for the Muslim faithful as well, you see there's Eid al-Fitr, there's Eid al-Adha, then there's Maulud as well. So I don't know if you've challenged some of those people who say it favors one religion over the other, because the facts are there. But let's even speak to what is primarily at stake here. And we made reference to Qatar earlier on. Qatar, which we all know is a Muslim nation, said, well, what we'll do is school will be from 8:30 to about 12:30 during this period. In fact, as a result of that, there's still some sort of controversy or debate that no, it shouldn't be that way. But they said, well, we're still going to do 4 hours because we need our children to go to school. So we have a challenge of out-of-school children already in northern states, right? There's also the challenge of Nigeria trying to catch up globally when it comes to education. So imagine 1 month out of school. The question is, will they catch up when they're even lagging behind already in some sense? So primarily, actually, Mr. Rafsanjani, this is about ensuring that our children learn. So is there going to be an alternative on the one hand? Right, and I think you should speak to that as well. Will there be an alternative? Does this put Nigeria at a bigger disadvantage in that sphere? And for those who say, well, we want to go to school, well, yes, you may say we are the minority, even though, again, there's a lot of debate around that, but we want to go to school. What options should be provided for them so they can at least go to school, which is their fundamental right?
So, first and foremost, this has nothing to do with Islamic holidays. If you look at the countries, the Muslim countries all over the world, from Saudi Arabia to Egypt to Kuwait to Qatar to Oman to Iran to various countries that are Muslim populated country, Indonesia, there's nothing like Ramadan holidays, as part of a religious holiday. I think we should have that understanding. In Nigeria, many Muslims, they believe that they are more spiritual Muslim than the others. The same thing also with the Christians in Nigeria. They believe that they are the most, correct Christians, compared to any other Christian in the world. Nigerians, they have that arrogance of belief, even though we know many at times the fear of God is absent in many of their conduct. But what I'm saying is that this, I don't think it has anything that has to do with Islamic holiday. It is opportunity that some of the governors, they cash on the Public Act to do that, which can be debated, can be negotiated, rather than, actually, like threat. You have raised very important issue. Children are out of school, and I don't think this holiday is going to necessarily be useful to these children, because they will be missing a lot. And that is why I gave you example. In Kano, where this had also been declared, some schools are still operating. My daughter still goes to school because she's writing exam. So it's not like all over, and that there cannot be any political solution to this. I believe that we can actually resolve this without dragging religion into this thing.
School you refer
people
to,
can
just to be
actually
clear,
bring this social dimension.
Is it a public
we are having
or private school? Pardon me, Mr. Rafsanjani, just to be clear, the school you refer to, is it public or private?
This is this school that I'm talking about is actually a private school. Right. It's not a public school.
So I'm talking about the public schools now. The public school students who want to still go to school, but they've been shut out. Would you suggest there be an alternative or an arrangement for them to still go to school during that 1 month period, or they should also be?
I want to believe that if the children are writing exam, or there's need for them to remain in school, I think the school authorities should approach government to show that importance on why children should continue to be in school. And I think also it is important with the dialogue, with the understanding, the governors can actually change their position on declaring this holiday. But if you turn this into Muslim-Christian thing, you will put prayer more on it, rather than looking at the social dimension, rather than the fact that children will be out of school doing nothing and maybe engage in other vices. That is what I think should
all right, Mr. Rafsanjani,
to look at, rather than.
All right, Mr. Rafsanjani, as we close, what would you propose? So, like a middle ground. I know in some countries, I think, is it Qatar, one other country, rather than close down the schools or declare public holiday, they shorten the hours of school. Wouldn't that be better for everyone? Just 30 seconds.
In fact, the whole issue of shortening the school. Look, in Islam, because these people are trying to even demonstrate laziness. Look, the truth is that, in Islam, is a period of, during Ramadan, it is a period that is not considered to be a period that you should be lazy. In fact, you see that people are devoting more time to read, to do things. So, the question of, even this holiday linking it to religious sin, I don't think it is even right in the first place. And like we said, in some other countries, they shorten the hours. I think that may be a better way, maybe perhaps, rather than completely sending these children out of school. In my opinion, it has nothing to do with, helping the religion or even helping the children, because in any case, people do fast on Thursdays and Mondays. Why are you not declaring holiday for those ones? Because it's a voluntary sin, It's not a compulsory sin. It is not part of Islamic compulsory sin. But because in Nigeria, people always bring in this unnecessary, unhealthy debate, between Muslim Christians, then the value of the whole issue will have completely be, abandoned, right. And then you start looking at, they cannot stop us. We cannot comply with them. I think we need to have a meaningful dialogue to address this matter, because it affects both the Muslim children and the non-Muslim children, rather than just going to market to, fight one another.